And joining us now is border czar Tom Homan. Tom, thank you so much for spending some time with us on this Sunday night. It's great to have you. I want to ask you right off the bat, how many other judges are expected to face consequences for obstructing the president's immigration plans?
We have no number for any judge that's going to obstruct ICE in their enforcement operations or knowingly harbor and conceal an alien is going to be prosecuted. This shouldn't be a surprise. I've been saying this since January 20th. You can sit by and support sanctuary cities. You don't have to assist ICE in being an immigration officer, but when you cross that line of impediment or knowingly harboring and concealing, we're going to seek prosecution. So she's probably first out of many.
Well, it's good to hear. Tom, Jason Chaffetz here. It sounds like the left, they want to talk about, they don't want to separate migrant families. And then they do, and then they don't. It's hard to follow it, just depending on where they're going. But they're pushing a false narrative that you're deporting children who are United States citizens. Watch this.
3 U.S. citizen children have been deported. One of them is a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer.
3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers.
The Trump administration deported 3 U.S. citizen children.
There are reportedly other instances where U.S. citizen children were deported without any due process.
Unbelievable. Even though you're deporting the parents, Rolling Stone magazine is also pushing the fake headline accusing the administration of deporting children with cancer. Tom, what's your perspective on this?
Well, we don't deport U.S. citizens. We don't deport U.S. citizen children. But I've said also since January 20th that we're going to keep families together. And when an adult gets deported, they got a choice. It's not a government's choice. It's a parental choice. You either take the child with you or leave them here with a relative of the other spouse. Just because you have a U.S. citizen child does not make you immune from our laws. American families get separated every day. And in those 3 instances, if we would not have moved the child with the parent, the story would have been ICE deports mother without child, ICE separates families. No, that is going to be a family choice. If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child while you're here illegally, that's on you. But it's not going to make you immune from the law. You got to make a parental decision. Leave the child here or take them with you.
Tom, Kevin, Court, great to have you with us as always. I want to get your take on this Obama-appointed judge by the name of William Orrick. He's actually blocking the Trump administration from withholding funds from 16 sanctuary cities and counties for ignoring his immigration crackdown. Now, Orrick, you may recall, did the same thing back in 2017. So I guess the obvious question is, how might the administration fight this, especially as these cities and counties continue to flout the law?
Well, I think we'll win in court, but President Trump is right. Why would we keep funding a city that arrests an illegal alien over and over and over again, costing taxpayers not only crime in their neighborhood, but costs the police departments and law enforcement agencies time and court costs and law enforcement costs and all the costs associated with enforcing criminal law. So why would we keep funding people that simply don't want to work with ICE? I think we'll win this in court, and we've proven, President Trump has made it clear, I've made it clear, we're out there looking for public safety threats and national security threats. That's what we're focused on, and that's what we're chasing. If you don't want to help us, stand aside, but we'll win this in the long run. Sanctuary cities are going to continue to be sued, plus we're going to continue taking their federal money. When this gets to the appellate court, I think we'll win it.
Tom, Molly Line here. Would love to get your insight on this. ICE, the DEA, multiple other agencies busted over 100 illegals in a nightclub raid in Colorado Springs. This is kind of the new breaking news. Meanwhile, as you know, the border crossings are at an all-time low. The president posting very recently on Truth Social that only 3 illegals have passed through the border, putting the success rate at 99%. Nationwide encounters with illegals have plummeted as well under Trump's watch. Tom, what more can you tell us about all of this?
Well, look, the president's right. As we speak today, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation. And the data shows it. We had over 11,000 a day under Biden. The other day, we had 178. We got gotaways under Biden, a daily gotaway number, 1,800. The other day, 41. And you're right on the releases. The president's right, three releases last month. Ever since January 20th to now, we released a total of 9 people. 4 because they're material witnesses in a criminal case. We wanted them to come. 4 were extreme medical conditions. We couldn't remove them, or they were at dire straits. And 1 was a humanitarian issue. Under the same time frame last year, Biden administration, over 184,000 were released. 184,000 to 9. We got the most secure border in the history of this nation thanks to President Trump's out-of-the-box thinking. He's a game changer. I said from day one. He proves to me every day why he's the greatest president in my lifetime.
Yeah, and Tom, and all of this decline in numbers in such a short amount of time, it's really astonishing. But I have one more question for you. We are also learning that the suspect who allegedly stole DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's purse on Easter Sunday is an illegal alien. Authorities are still searching for a second suspect, but what more can you tell us about this crime?
Well, look, I think it's a bad choice. I mean, if you're going to rob from the Secretary of Homeland Security, that means you're going to do just about anything. So he picked the wrong target. They got right on it. He's now arrested. He'll be held accountable. Secretary Noem is a no-nonsense secretary, and she's going to continue to enforce the law. So I think this is a pure example of illegal aliens committing crimes across the cities, big and small, shoplifting, armed robbery, up to murder and rape of young women. Again, you look at what we've done since President Trump's been in office. ICE has arrested just under 70,000 illegal aliens in the interior, and Border Patrol's arrested another 34,000. CBP altogether arrested about 67,000. This administration is breaking records every day. ICE has already arrested 3 times more criminals in 3 months than Joe Biden did in a year, and we're going to keep it going.
All right. Well, Tom Homan, we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much for the discussion, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, they are doing an amazing job in terms of locking down the border. That is unbelievable, and hats off to the men and women who are doing it, and thank goodness for the leadership of Donald Trump to make that. Now that they're actually starting to apprehend the people, we need to see the prosecutions and the deportations, because the deportations still have a long way to go. But these activist judges are putting the impediment to Donald Trump doing this. That is so fundamentally wrong. I hope the voters see right through it, see where the Democrats are actually fighting for, because they want to keep the criminal element here. There's no other way to look at it.
And I'm glad you said that, too. Keep this in mind. A lot of people have this misinterpretation of this whole issue that people who are here illegally or people who have come here legally don't want to see illegal immigrants who are criminal aliens deported. That's not true. Every single person I know who has come to this country legally is like, wave the flag. Yes, more of that. They want illegal criminal aliens out of this country just as much as native-born Americans do. The ones who came here the right way, the ones who waited in line, they're as patriotic about this issue as ever, and they are pleased, even if many of them are not Republican. I think by and large they're pleased with what the president is trying to do.
Well, you know, Molly, it's so interesting because we kept hearing from President Biden during the last administration that he couldn't do anything about illegal immigration. His hands were tied. He needed Congress to act, right? It doesn't square now. The president is doing it.
It is just shocking, astounding, the difference. You know, I mean, can't shine a brighter light on that difference. I think the judge thing that's happening here locally, with one judge being arrested and others saying they may not go to work, a liberal judge threatening to not go to work. I don't think the Trump administration is going to be like, no, please show up. I feel like that's an odd form of protest for any slew of liberal judges to choose to take. I feel like the Trump administration would be like, all right then, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
another court.
What do you think? Do you think we're going to see more judges trying to defy court, or defy their job? Really, is what they're doing. I mean, do you expect that we'll see more of this?
Well, part of what they need to do is, in states like Wisconsin, they need to impeach these people.
Yeah.
If they're refusing to do their job because they have some sort of political agenda, they're demonstrating and proving to the public that they are not impartial arbiters of the law. That's what they're supposed to do. And if they can't set that aside and just rule on the law and take this and say, oh, I'm not even going to show up to work. I mean, how immature is that?
You couldn't have said it better. Do your job, or we will impeach you for not doing your job. And that would be the right decision. And I suspect we're going to see more of that happening in the months and weeks ahead, because I think a lot of lawmakers are fed up as well. They're saying, hey, listen, we can't sit here while, again, the separation of powers, you're going to hear me lecture a lot about that. That's a real thing, and that's your job. It's your responsibility. If you won't do it, we'll find somebody else who will.
Yeah. Well, we live in newsworthy times here, folks. Just stay tuned.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.